Arrows. Thank you once again for joining me today for another bow review. So today, this is a bow review which I thought I'd done, which I evidently haven't. So you will have seen all over my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, the Zhu Ran. The Zhu Ran is an absolutely phenomenal bow. It was my first super long draw bow. I say super long, I'll come to that in a moment. And there are videos of me shooting this everywhere. There is a YouTube video quite early on in the early YouTube days of this channel of me shooting this, and it's more just a compilation of shots rather than an in-depth review of this bow. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a review of the Zhu Ran. We have a heavier draw weight here. This is about 55-60 pounds at max draw, which is 37 inches for this bow. And this one here is only about 40 pounds at 37 inches, which is a phenomenal draw length. It's far too long for me to get to 37 inches. My arms just don't stretch that far. I'm not that tall. I don't have a long enough arm. But this is a bow which has been used on indoor feeder targets when I've been shooting, 3D shooting out here in the woods, roving all over the place. So let's do it, let's dive in, let's get this bow review underway and done and add it to the catalogue of Journey with Arrows. And if you haven't got one, or if you're wanting to get one of these, you're definitely going to need one, and you're definitely going to want one at the end of this video. So let's dive into the specs of the Zhu Ran 2. So this is a bow that's made by AF Archery. Nice little logo on the bottom of the limb there. I believe this, shipping wise, probably took about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to arrive. So not too bad. Really easy company to deal with, really easy to kind of place an order with, no problems, hassles or whatsoever. Now the Zhu Ran, this is the second generation Zhu Ran. I don't have the first, I've never seen the first, so I can't comment on that. But the second one, certainly when you start going up, the draw weights of this bow is a powerhouse. Now we do have I say a smaller one. It's smaller in the sense that the limbs at this point here are thinner. This is a 40 pounds at 36 inch draw. This is about 55-60 pounds at 36 inch draw. So there's a couple of similarities there. I mean, the only difference really, to be honest, is the thickness of this part of the limb. Everything else is pretty much the same. Even in the handle, this heavier draw weight is a little bit thicker across the fades here in comparison to the smaller one. Other than that, they're both made of exactly the same materials. They are made from, where are we? Bear paw fiberglass. We've got black walnut, bamboo, ashwood, and the colour which you see in the laminate here is babinga. That's the same on both bows. Now the babinga, I don't know if you'll see it from here, but we'll get it in on a video somewhere, is that lovely kind of oil spill, kind of old antique furniture type look that we're getting here on the limbs, which is absolutely beautiful. Really, really nice. Now the bow has a massive draw length of 37 inches at full draw. It is an absolute monster. Now 37 inches is way too long for me to be able to pull back on with a thumb ring, certainly with this style of thumb ring. I would imagine if you're going to shoot it like a Manchu archer and use a Manchu ring and have a little bit more of a shallower hook, then that would be easier to attain rather than kind of using a deep hook like how I shoot and pulling back, because you get all sorts of tweaks and twists with it as well. So if you're going to get it to use with a 37 inch draw or a 36 inch draw, which is the length of these arrows here at the back, then just bear that in mind, that your style and shape of thumb ring might come into play with an arrow at that length. The amount of times I've plucked this at 36 inches and the arrow has disappeared off. So again, it can be used shorter. You don't have to be using a 37 inch arrow just to shoot this bow. So the length of the bow from nock to nock is 161 centimeters. The string length is 147, and the width of the riser is 16 millimeters. So this little arrow pass, if you like, is 16 millimeters. and the overall limb width all the way through here is 42 millimeters. Now it does have quite a long sear. It's a reasonably easy bow to string, to be honest with you. You can either use the step through method, make sure it's braced against the base of your shin and you've got the handle against the back of your bum or the back of your thigh, and you can easy enough string this one both ways. Obviously making sure that the limbs are not twisted and set back out. The other way you can do it, which is a little bit easier with heavier draw weights, is just to pull it up a little bit higher, sit it up in your crotch and do the same maneuver this way as well. But other than that, very straightforward bow to use, beautifully made. My only bugbear with this bow is that it has, I'll show you on the non-worn side, it has a beautiful little inlay here on the arrow pass. Now obviously when you're shooting, that gets worn out. It's quite soft, to be honest with you. On my other bow, so this was the second Zhu Ran which I got. The first Zhu Ran, this one here, again obviously still has that little imprint. I actually laid a little bit of felt and some stingray skin over that. It looks ugly, but it protects underneath because it was getting battered pretty heavily, to be honest with you. But yeah, phenomenal bow. So let's go shoot it and then we can speak a little bit more about it as well. The one thing that AF Archery does supply with the Zhu Ran as well is this really nice bow bag, which has a nice long cord on it. It's quite oriental looking, and it's actually long enough, it's certainly if you're my size, to put around your waist and use it as a quiver, put your arrows in if you don't have a quiver already, or if you don't want to be carrying a quiver around, you just want to go lightweight, that works really, really well too. So, feedback response on the Zhu Rans. When you have a lower draw weight Zhu Ran, I find that it can be a little bit sluggish when you're used to shooting slightly heavier draw weight arrows. Now, this is a 40 pounds. If you get arrows that match it well, then it does absolutely fine. Lovely and smooth. There is zero, even on the heavier draw weights, there's not really any stacking. You're not going to get stacking with a 40 pound bow. But the draw experience is so smooth. It's just like silk. There's zero hand shock in the bow handle, providing you have the arrow weight down. It's a very, very smooth bow to shoot. There's no problems whatsoever. The heavier draw weight bow goes like an absolute rocket. Now, you certainly feel this when it starts to get back. I mean, these arrows are 31 inches long. You start to feel it set in with the draw weight. And it leaves the bow like an absolute rocket. Now, I don't know if it's just my handling of the bow, but I feel there's a fair bit of hand shock in this in comparison to the other bow. Jesus Christ, they come out quick. Seriously quick. Now, some of you might recall that I had a blowout on the Zhu Ran. Now, that wasn't down to a malfunction in the bow, so to speak. That was me out on a rove with these lovely Manchu arrows, which are well and truly worn. 36 inches roving. Now, this was the bow that blew out. Obviously, it's been repaired since, and the gentleman that repaired this for me has done an absolutely amazing job. Can't even tell which side it was. This side. So I'll explain how that happened, just so it doesn't put you guys off from buying a Zhu Ran. This is the side of the knock down here as it comes from the manufacturer. Now, they are quite shallow hooks in here. Now, I've had zero issue with these slipping out whatsoever. That's not a concern. This is the repaired side. So from the side profile, it's now thicker and it covers more of this knock here, this shallow knock. And obviously it's been redone on the front here as well. Now, the reason why this happened is because, as I was mentioning before about the style of thumb ring, and whether you're going to be using a shallow hook or a deep hook or a Manchu ring, at 36 inches when you're shooting, this arrow, or this style of arrow, the knock point here split all the way down the side whilst I was at full draw. I'm not going to do it again with this bow because I daren't. This bow's fine because it's only 40 pounds at full draw. So probably a little bit of pretty much my error as much as it is the arrows, in assuming that the knock would hold out on that draw weight of bow. Now, the only thing I'll say in my defense is that I had shot these arrows from that bow numerous times in the past whilst out on the rove. Zero issues whatsoever. This particular day, unfortunately, I turned up for a rove. Very first arrow on the rove, first target, knocked it. Obviously we're elevated up at 45 degrees, which I can't do here in the woods. Came back up to full draw at 36 inches, snap, the knock split, the bow effectively dry fired, and the front of the knock from where the bowstring sits in blew out. So that's the reason why that broke. So I would not say it's a weakness in the bow, because it would happen with this bow and it would have happened again since. Those long arrows of mine will not be fired from that bow on the floor again, but from this bow probably will be. Absolutely fine with this. In all fairness, they shot fine from this, just I don't trust the knocks on those arrows, so until a such point as they get those knocks replaced, they won't be shot from this bow here. But that's the reason why that had a blowout. So if you have any concerns about getting a Zhu Ran, put them to one side, because that was my issue, my error, and an error with the arrow as well. So the Zhu Ran is a beautiful bow. Now, it is a fair amount of money. I believe it was $339, well, it might be $389 on AF Archery's website. Now, they do offer free shipping, so it kind of balances out, to be fair. You could spend that, if not more, on a bow from another company and still have to pay shipping on top. So AF Archery are still doing free shipping. So if you want one of these bows, I would advise getting one. They are incredible bows, very, very durable, and I'll warn you, when you go up the draw weights, they are an absolute rocket. Now, they do these from 25 pounds up to 50 pounds of draw weight at 28 inches, So just remember that's at 28 inches, and you need to do your calculations to figure out what that's going to be up at 37 inches. But my god, what a phenomenal bow, guys. What a phenomenal bow. The Zhu Ran, I hope you've enjoyed the review of the bow. It is a brilliant bow. If you want a bow that's not a Manchu bow, but you want the Manchu draw length, then 100% the Zhu Ran is one that you need to get. If you just like the look of the bow, then still get it, because it's a phenomenal bow even at 28, 30, 31 inches, whatever your draw length. Again, just bear in mind, if you are going to shoot this with a 36 or a 37 inch draw, maybe just take into account the style of thumb ring that you're shooting. If you're using a thumb ring, you could still shoot this 3 fingers. I've shot with guys before that are much bigger than me and much taller that can still do 36 inches on a Mediterranean loose. So it's great for both. Narrow arrow pass, there's barely anything to it whatsoever. Great bow, absolutely great bow. One that's been with me now for 2 years, and apart from the slip up on the knock of the arrow, resulting in it needing a repair job, 0 issues whatsoever. It's been a reliable bow, it's been a good shooter, a very accurate shooter, and extremely quick with the higher draw weights. Again, like I said before, lower draw weight, a little bit sluggish, but a good way of getting used to a bow that has a super long draw weight if that's what you want. Otherwise, absolute rocket, great bow. AF Archery, free delivery. They're still doing that. So thank you very much for tuning into this episode, and I shall see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye bye.